Hello everyone, my name is Daria, welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to be doing a book tag. Why, you may ask? Well, the honest answer is I had nothing else planned today. I had this empty spot on my calendar of uploads, had no idea what to post, and so I thought, you know what, let's just throw a book tag out there. So a little while ago on my channel, not even a little while ago, it was like 2 or 3 years ago, I did the unpopular opinions book tag. And only recently I found out that someone made a tag that's kind of the inverse of that one, aka the popular opinions book tag. Now we all know how much I love to rant and dissect books on this channel, but today I want to spread some positivity, okay? I want to talk about the books that I love, the characters that I feel are underappreciated, so I'm just gonna do that. I will leave the original creator's video down below, definitely go check her out. And without any further ado, let's get into the tag. The first prompt is a popular book or series that you love, and I think any of you who have been here for any amount of time know exactly what I'm gonna say right now, and honestly, I feel like there are only so many more times I can bring up this book without all of you unsubscribing and getting super annoyed with me. So, I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. It's Pride and Prejudice. I know, I'm sorry I keep bringing it up. It is the most popular novel of one of the most popular female authors of all time. My love for Pride and Prejudice started when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I attempted to read it for the first time when I was that age, and I don't think I made it past the first chapter, but I revisited it in middle school and absolutely fell in love. But what is the appeal of Pride and Prejudice besides nostalgia? There are so many books and movies and TV shows that I watched when I was young and absolutely loved, but they're not necessarily still my favorite things ever. I just think that Austen's humor is exactly fitting to my style. She has this amazing capability of creating the most ridiculous people who are absolutely embarrassing and yet are completely oblivious to that fact. They go through the world believing that everyone sees them in one way, believing that they are something when in fact they're quite the opposite. And of course we have Lizzie and Darcy, the most iconic, the most incredible, literally set the standard for enemies to lovers. There's something really intriguing to me about this idea of thinking that you know someone and then you find out little by little that they're not the person that you thought they were, and in fact, you guys are more similar than you ever could have imagined. I just love it, and I feel like Jane Austen plotted their romantic development so well. She doesn't rush into things. In fact, it takes Lizzie a long time to warm up to Darcy. And I love that after that first proposal scene, we see both Darcy and Lizzie start to change and become better people. It's not like Darcy's just sitting there waiting for Lizzie to realize that he's this great guy. He made mistakes and he has to apologize for them and make up for them as best as he can. I just love this book, man. I love that book so much. I will never get tired of talking about it. The next prompt is an underhyped book or series that you wish was more popular. I have 2 answers for this, but the first one that I'm going to give that I feel so strongly about is the Wrath and the Dawn duology. This duology has everything that I love. Fantasy, enemies to lovers, and Persian representation. For those of you who have never heard of this duology before, it follows a young woman named Shahrazad or Shazi, and she lives in the city of Khorasan, and the Caliph, who sort of presides over the entire kingdom, every single night he takes a bride, and every single day in the morning, she ends up dead. Now, Shazi's best friend was unfortunate enough to be chosen by the Caliph, and now Shazi is out for revenge. So that night, she is chosen as the Caliph's bride, and she starts to tell him the story, but doesn't finish it. And she tells him that she will only tell him the remainder of the story the next night. Obviously, this is inspired by 1001 Nights, and I hinted to this before, but this is an enemies to lovers story, and Shazi and Khalid, that's his name, Khalid's romance and tension is just mwah, scrumptious, delicious, immaculate. I also just love Renee Ahtier's writing. It's very flowery and detailed, but not to the point that you don't understand what's happening, which I find really annoying. I just really wish this duology is more popular. I wish more people read it. The next book that I wish people gave more love is King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. Some of you may be thinking, Daria, what are you talking about? Leigh Bardugo is insanely popular. This is one of her Grisha books. Are you kidding me? It's about Nikolai, one of the most popular Grisha characters. What are you talking about? Here's the thing. Out of all of the Grisha books, this book is definitely the least appreciated, and I don't appreciate that. I cannot overstate to you how much I love this book. I'm currently in the middle of a reread because I want to gear up for Rule of Wolves. I stand by my original opinion that I thought when I first read this book, which is that this is the best Grishaverse book. Like, I'm sorry, I'm right. and I know that I'm right, and I'm not gonna deny the fact that I'm right. I am a fan of slow-moving, character-driven books. I'm a fan of political intrigue above all else. And if you are also a fan of those things, you'll love this book. I absolutely love Nikolai and Zoya in particular. I love their dynamic, the pretty ice queen and the charming golden boy that everybody loves. That dynamic is just the untapped potential, but it's gonna be tapped, okay? I'm telling you, in the next book, that potential will be tapped. I'm making no sense, but you know what? When it comes to Nikolai and Zoya, I never make sense, okay? I just feel. And what I feel is unbridled love for them. I think this book took two of the most intriguing characters in the entire Grishaverse and opened them up and showed us all the deepest recesses of who they are. Who was Nikolai really in the Grisha trilogy besides our favorite charming fox? Who was Zoya besides the pretty mean girl? Anytime I see a character like Nikolai who is overly charming, or like Zoya who has all these walls around her, I want to get in there. I want to know more. And this book gave us those answers that I wanted back in the trilogy. Also, I just love the idea of looking at Ravka after the war. All of these fantasy books, they tend to focus on one giant war and then the war ends and everyone's happy, but that's not accurate. I loved getting to learn about this faction of people who want to make the Darkling a saint. I love looking at the political and religious divides that are still very present in the country. I just love everything about this. I think that Leigh Bardugo specifically wrote this book with my tastes in mind. The next prompt is a romance that you love, and I have so many that I could talk about right now, but I'm going to keep it to a shorter list. First, since I already waxed poetic about them, Nikolai and Zoya. I do not know a better Grishaverse couple. I don't. Charming golden boy whom everyone loves, but who has no one who he's truly close with. And beautiful, isolated, aloof woman who seems to not want anyone close to her in her life. Those two coming together to find in each other companionship and love and understanding that they can't get from anyone else? Are you freaking kidding me with that? Oh my god. The next couple that I love is Arya and Dante from Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. I have never rooted for a couple so hard in my life. Next we have my favorite childhood couple whom I will love till the day that I die, Percy and Annabeth. I remember reading their first kiss in the Battle of the Labyrinth. I was driving with my family on our way to LA. We were all sitting in the car, everyone was super tired and worn out, and I screeched at the top of my lungs. My dad freaking swerved. Did I get yelled at? Absolutely yes. Did I regret it? Only a little bit. The next prompt is your favorite genre and a popular genre that you want to get into. I love so many different genres. I don't really stick to just one. I love romance, I love literary fiction, I love YA fantasy, I love thriller mysteries. And I would say if there's one popular genre that I want to read more of, it would have to be adult fantasy. I keep saying that in all of these videos and then I never actually get around to reading adult fantasy because I'm terrified. The next prompt is a popular character that you love or a character that you feel deserves more love and attention. And for this one, I'm honestly not sure how popular he is. I feel like he's a little bit underrated, but for this one, I'm going to have to go with Alistair Carstairs. I love that boy. You have no idea how attached I am to that boy. And also, let me just mention that I have not, as of making this video, read Chain of Iron, so please, no spoilers. But upon reading that first book and sort of diving into different wiki pages about Alistair and his past, I knew he was gonna be my favorite character. I knew it. I have such an attachment to anti-heroes and misunderstood characters. Alistair does these really shitty things, let's be honest here. And I'm not excusing the things that he does, but I know that it all stems from this internalized hatred and all of these internal struggles that he goes through. For so long, he dyed his hair blonde because he didn't want people to know that he was Persian. He was ashamed of his culture and ethnicity. Everything with Cordelia's father and his upbringing, having to grow up way too quickly and essentially parent his sister. And of course we have the fact that he was in this secret relationship with Charles for so long, and that caused a lot of self-loathing and shame. I just can't wait to see him grow and live authentically and honestly. I just love that boy, and I wish nothing but the best for him. I love him so much. Next, we have an auto-buy author, and for me, this can only be Leigh Bardugo. I'm sure for many people she's an auto-buy author, especially when it comes to her Grisha books. I'm pretty sure I've read every single one of her books, besides, oh, Ninth House and Wonder Woman. I definitely want to get around to Ninth House. Wonder Woman, I'm like, about. When she tells a story, she immerses you in that world and in that tale. Whenever I read one of her books, I always get this feeling of like sitting around a campfire, someone's telling us stories, and we're all sitting there huddled together. It's this fantastical sort of spooky atmosphere. I don't know. I just love it. I love it. Leigh Bardugo could pull like a Cassandra Clare and write a million series in the Grisha world. She could write a freaking book about, I don't know, like a dressmaker in Ravka, and I would read it. I would buy it automatically. The next prompt is a popular book trope that you love reading about. I think this is going to be a pretty obvious answer, but it is enemies to lovers for me. I've mentioned this before on my channel, but it bears repeating. Enemies to lovers needs to be done a certain way in order for me to love it, in order for it to hit as it should. And a lot of times authors will miss the mark with this, so let me explain the system. We've got enemies. Now, depending on whether it's contemporary or fantasy, there could be different definitions for enemies. A lot of times in contemporary, it's really just rivals to lovers. You know, they're bickering, they don't really like each other, they're enemies around the office. In fantasy, the stakes tend to be a little bit higher. Like, we genuinely are on opposite sides of this horrible conflict, and perhaps we want to kill each other. Who knows? We start off there. And slowly but surely, there should be moments in which the two parties gain one another's respect. And from that begrudging respect comes a kind of fragile friendship and admiration. And then, oh my god, wait, what's happening right now? Why does my heart beat fast when I see that person? What's going on? I'm not supposed to like them. And more of those moments with some angst and mutual pining thrown in there, and then we arrive at the lovers portion. That is how you do enemies to lovers, okay? That is the formula. Do that, and you'll get it right. And I will adore it. I will be obsessed with that couple. The next prompt is a popular series that you really want to get into. Now, I mentioned earlier in the video that I really want to start reading adult fantasy. So all 3 series that I am about to mention fit into that genre. First, we have the Wheel of Time series. I definitely want to read at least the first book before the Amazon adaptation comes out. I have actually attempted to read this book already. I think I read like the first 2 or 3 chapters, and I really enjoyed it. Was I confused? Absolutely. Did I love it already? Absolutely. I definitely need to go back and sort of start from the beginning because I have forgotten everyone's names. And there are a lot of names. For anyone who has read this series, I'm sure you know that more than me. There are so many names and characters in this book. But yeah, Wheel of Time, I feel like that is a staple of the genre, a classic. I definitely want to get around to that. Next, we have the Broken Earth trilogy. I've heard that this is such an innovative take on the fantasy genre. I just desperately want to read this book. And lastly, we have the Davabad trilogy, which I really want to read because I have so many mutuals and friends who love this series. I'm thinking particularly of Mina Reeds, who I absolutely adore. I've been telling her and myself for so long that I'm going to pick this up, I'm gonna do it, and I still haven't, which, shame on me, honestly, shame on me. But it's gonna happen. I have a good feeling about it this year. And finally, we have a popular book and movie adaptation that you love in both formats. So I eventually decided on To All the Boys I Loved Before. It is a modern classic for a reason. 20, 30 years from now, kids are going to be watching those movies like some of us watch John Hughes films. They're going to absolutely love it. As they should. I remember reading that trilogy in the matter of like a week. I was just so engrossed in Lara Jean, her sisters, her life, her romance. And I don't think you can even deny that To All the Boys I Loved Before, that first movie especially, it's like the pinnacle of teen rom-coms. It literally reignited the rom-com genre, especially for teenagers and young adults. The only other potential answer I could have possibly given to this prompt is the Hunger Games trilogy and the films. I think we all know that those were just in a league of their own. Sometimes I think about the fact that Jennifer Lawrence was Katniss, and I can't actually believe that they managed to get that casting. Like, it's so wild. But yeah, To All the Boys I Loved Before and Hunger Games, elite film adaptations. So that is it for me today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know your answers to some of these prompts. Let me know if we have any of the same answers. And if you're a creator, or even not a creator, if you want to do this tag, you can take this as me tagging you. If you want to find me or follow me anywhere else on social media, all the links will be down below. I love you all very dearly, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!